kind of walk me through this whole week, from Sunday and then through a couple practices now. How's that been?
It's been cool. Getting ready for our game. Same pretty much game plan as we usually do. I'd say Cider and Howell have done a great job of taking over and making everything seem like an easy transition.
What is that like to go from one coordinator to then two in practice? Is it a different feel?
Honestly, like the way we're doing it, I wouldn't say it's a difficult process. I think everyone's just trying to keep a level head, just make sure our game plans are right for our next few games.
Have you seen Drew handle this week, and obviously what he's going to be dealing with different than past?
I mean, Drew's handling it really well. He's definitely taking a step up. Like, he knows what's on his plate. He knows he probably has a little more on his plate, and he's working with our new coordinators just work everything out. So.
Have you seen him and Danny's relationship really help the situation right now? It seems like those two guys have a strong bond.
Yeah, I would assume that him having a strong bond with Danny like that definitely helps him out in this process.
Can you kind of tell us about Danny? I mean, we only get to see him from afar. What kind of coach, what kind of guy is he?
I mean, I'm not a quarterback, so I mean, I see him sparingly, but when I do get to talk to him, he's a really awesome guy, really great support system.
Caedan, do you know that this is your last game at Beaver Stadium?
I haven't really put thought into it.
Okay.
Focused on Rutgers, Michigan State, bowl game.
But I'm assuming you walk Saturday because that's typically your Saturday.
Yeah, I'll walk Saturday.
Whether or not it's your last time, what does that kind of moment mean for you? 5 years here, some ups and downs.
I mean, honestly, this whole year, every time I step in the stadium is just a time for me to, pay homage and be grateful for my time that I spent here. So I don't think this game will be any different. Just being grateful.
Has it been this kind of grateful way you would define your 5th year here? Is it kind of a defining way you've approached it?
That's definitely one aspect of it. There's been a lot of different, ideals that I focused on throughout the offseason, throughout camp, and throughout the season. But that's definitely one.
Coach Troutman was telling us, I think it was last week, that your preparation is noticeably, at least to him, different. What can you tell us about maybe what's altered or you've done better in that regard?
This may sound silly, but I've worked on just focusing as deeply as I can, and that's really helped my game out. So focusing during practicing and during games, that's really helped. But my off-the-field preparation, like my recovery, hydration, nutrition, things like that, I've taken an extra step on. And then studying game film and just my overall preparedness, I've definitely taken a big step.
How do you improve on focus?
Practicing, like I said, it sounds a little silly, but I will sit down and focus. I just can't get out of I have to have a one-track mind about certain things, and I've noticed that helps me play football really better.
Has it required you to eliminate anything from your situation or the way you kind of approach day to day?
I eliminated common distractions in the off season, little things silly things. I try to get ahead, in schoolwork, maybe house chores, groceries, things like that. I try to get ahead so I don't have to focus on that throughout the week. And really my, how do I put this? My prime decision-making skills, I try to allocate all those towards football. So I try not to do anything too high stress throughout the week or anything like that.
How does that kind of help you through this past week when you guys lose on Saturday and then the offensive coordinator's gone the next day?
Kind of like I said, I clear out my head, and I know if I focus on that, then it won't bode well for me throughout the week. So I got, came in, did my Sunday thing, had an off day on Monday, came in yesterday and just got to work, Rutgers.
As one of the veteran leaders on the team, is that something that you have tried to instill in your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, you don't want, one loss to spiral to 2 to 3 to 4. So the best way to do it is to focus on the game we have this week. Forget everything else. We'll focus on that stuff later. But right now, it's Rutgers.
You were obviously a part of that 2021 team where that did happen for a period where it kind of spiraled out of control. What did you learn most about that season that you can apply to this right now?
I mean, definitely the things that I'm preaching now. If you let one loss get to you, it'll turn into 2, and then it'll turn into 3. So just making sure that everyone has their head focused, making sure everyone has the right mindset, the want-to-know attitude. Yeah.
Kind of piggybacking off that, last year everybody kind of galvanized, and you guys finished strong, and nobody opted out, and all that. So, what did you learn from that experience? I know you were sidelined for much of that, but what do you think maybe can be applied to this situation?
I mean, definitely some of the same values carry over. Just when it gets to the end of the season, it's a lot more high stakes. You know, people are more tired. You know, things like that. So just make sure everyone's grinding. Make sure everyone has their head on their shoulders.
Going back to the focusing part, when you said you first started doing that, like in the off season in the spring, was it hard? You said eliminating like common distractions was difficult. What were some of those common things?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like our brains are more interesting than we know. So, like, I think that me watching too much TikTok affects how I play football, or me playing too much video games affects how I play football, or too much Netflix, things like that.
So what do you do anything for fun now?
I mean, yeah, I still have fun. You know, Sal's my roommate, so me and Sal like to play Fortnite from, you know, time to time. I still do watch TikTok, but just, you know, less than I did before.
You gotta talk to my wife about TikTok, Caedan. She welcomes the way to
Hey, she may put me back on the edge.
I saw you go back and forth a little bit with Jamil Lyons during our look at practice. I mean, you brought it back. What is he looking like here toward the final stretch of his freshman year versus maybe the guy who showed up in August?
Honestly, Jamil's been awesome since he first got here, and I love going at it with Jamil. He, like, him being so young, he has that extra like pep in his step, like that extra little energy, and I love going against him. He works great moves, and I think I'm helping him get better. Jamil's going to be a great player, whether it be next year or the year after, but Jamil's going to be a great player. Really good guy.
If this is your last season, what's going to stand out to you as a Penn State football memory? What's going to be one that you hang on to?
That's a tough one. Like I said before, I don't really know if it's my last season or not, but honestly, every moment that I get to spend in the room with my O-line guys, you know, we've turned the room around since I've gotten here, so being able to hang out with the guys that I've kind of built the room up with and have the same like-minded goals as, you know, it's really awesome for me.
I'll follow up on that. We talked with Theo earlier this week, and he said the finishing strong for the veteran guys who have been here, like yourself, is kind of the motivating factor of this team right now. How have you guys, as the veterans on the team, stepped up?
I mean, we've definitely been more vocal leaders throughout the whole season, but definitely these past few weeks. Theo, he's an amazing leader for the offense. He steps up. He's a super vocal guy, and that really just drives us forward as a whole unit.
How is Drew different in that regard, if at all, since his first start versus now 10 starts in, adversity has struck? How is he in that department?
Well, Drew, for me, Drew's always been calm, cool, and collected. And so seeing him, you know, keep that throughout adversity and then, you know, add to him being more vocal, like, that's been amazing for our unit. And definitely these next few games and years to come, Drew's ability to lead is going to set this team apart.
Has he been more vocal?
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
What does that look like or sound like?
I mean, I think Sal mentioned it in an interview last week, but, like, he's coming up behind, like, the line, get down. Like he's stern. He's, you know, checking stuff off. He's telling us what we have to do. He's pointing out IDs, calls, like, things that are, like, his job, but he's doing them, like, with authority. So it's just awesome to have that.
Knowing J1 and Ty, like you guys have for the last couple of years, really, does that make the adjustment easier on you guys?
Yeah, 100%. When Coach Howell first came here, he was one of the O-line GAs or assistants, so I have a really great relationship with him. And Coach Sider recruited me since, you know, 2016, 2017. So really great guy, and it makes the transition a lot easier. We speak the same language as them, so easy transition.
James told us that he's been more vocal this week in the offensive room, considering the circumstances. Have you noticed that, and what does that look like to you?
I've noticed it, and just a lot of yelling. Like, that's just Franklin. He's
that
out
his
there.
delivery?
Yeah, he's driving stuff. He's pointing guys in the right direction and definitely taking a step up from the weeks past.
Does it feel like a necessary moment for the offense for him to kind of insert himself in this way as the head coach? The guy, he said he takes ultimate responsibility for everything that happens on the field. Does it feel like he's stepping up to the plate here?
I would say, yeah. It's not like he's been quiet before. He's always been, you know, with the offense throughout practice. But I'd say this week, just his ability to, you know, add that, like, extra, I don't even know how to put it, like, maybe, like, pressure for, you know, certain guys that he's yelling at. Like, that makes the offense better. Just his presence, you know, it's driving us.
I'm sorry if you already asked this. I came over here late, but I mean, losing to Michigan, there's obviously, there's the postseason implications that are obviously there. Does it maybe take a grieving period of some sort before you can really focus on what's ahead of you in the end of the season?
I'd say naturally you'd want there to be a grieving period, but in terms of going 1-0 next week, we can't do that. We couldn't take a day off or a practice off or a period off because we're grieving our last loss, because then it'll turn into another loss. So for us, like I said earlier, Rutgers. You know, it's not much we can do about what happened on Saturday, but we can go out this week and win.
and to play off of the Ty and Juwan thing, has anything changed for you guys as an offensive line in the transition from, communication standpoint or anything like that?
Honestly, no. Nothing for the O-line has really changed too much. There is a slight adjustment, receiving plays and stuff like that, but other than that, no, we're not.
You mentioned there can't be like a grieving period. You can't allow yourself to have that. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But how do you kind of just move on after this whole week? And I guess from a mental standpoint.
I hate to sound kind of callous, but I've been playing football for a really long time, since I was about 4. Lost a lot of games, won a lot of games. But like I said, I know that if I grieved over this Michigan thing, we still have 3 more games left, then it wouldn't bode well for us. It would spiral out. It's kind of like a slippery slope type deal. So I just focus on next week. I focus on what I can do, what I physically can do to not lose again.